very warm welcome to our special edition, the Question Hour show from the Parliament House complex, the only show where we bring you important unstarred or written questions asked by the members of the upper house during the ongoing 251st session of the Rajya Sabha and the response given by the government in written format. I'm Kriti Mishra and joining me is my colleague Rajat Kain. So Rajat, let's take our viewers through important questions and answers in this edition of Question Hour. And the first question in this edition is from member Ami Yagnik, and this question pertains to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. And Mrs. Yagnik has asked the government whether it has taken any steps to control burgeoning population and also if there's any national population policy that is there to curb the population explosion in the country.
Well, certainly a very important question by the member, and the answer given by the government is that National Population Policy formulated in the year 2000 reaffirms government's commitment towards voluntary and informed choice, target-free approach and achievement of replacement level of fertility by simultaneously addressing the issues of contraception, maternal health and child survival. The National Family Planning Programme of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare is guided by tenets of National Population Policy 2000 and oversees its implementation. Under the programme, service delivery data is triangulated, and further the programme is regularly reviewed under annual review meetings, supportive supervision visits, common review missions as well. Now, as a result of government's effort, the successes achieved under the enumerated issues are as below. The total fertility rate has declined from 2.9 in 2005 to 2.2 in 2017. Now, out of 25 out of 37 states and union territories have already achieved replacement level fertility of 2.1% or less. The decadal growth rate has declined from 21.54% in 1999-2000 to 17.64% during the years of 2001 to 2011. The crude birth rate has declined from 23.8 to 20.2 from 2005 to 2017, and the teenage birth rate has halved from 16% to 8%.
Well, certainly, Rajat, this was a very important question asked by member Ami Yagnik. In fact, she joined us on the Question Hour show, and this is what she had to say to government's response to her question. And joining us on the Question Hour show is Rajya Sabha member Mrs. Ami Yagnik. Ma'am, welcome to Rajya Sabha Television, and thank you so much for talking to us. You've raised a very pertinent question about population control. It is said that population explosion is like a ticking bomb for India. How important is the issue, and what are the measures to control this explosion?
The issue is important that wise that we should have some policy in place in order to understand why are we not able to reach the pockets or places or the strata in different classes of society where there should be informed choices. See, it's a matter of reproduction, and women should or families should know that are they going to give this kind of a proper education, a proper upbringing, are they going to inculcate all the values that are required for a healthy, holistic life to live, and are they going to make a better future for the children? So that is what the crux of my question was, that should we have a policy where we can have a awareness campaign on a massive scale at every level, in every state, and practically make them aware, make every human being aware who is residing in our country that yes, this is what you need to do. You should be aware of your own self, you should be aware of the family unit. The family units constitute a society, and society constitutes a nation, and so ultimately it becomes nation building. So if you don't give them the awareness on making informed choices, reproductive choices, you don't give them informed awareness in a sense that, well, you need to give what you want to give best to your children. You're bringing a life in this world. So would you not like to give them a proper upbringing? Would you not care for the health of your own self, health of the family, health of the child, and give them a proper education? Because now we are in the 21st century, the third decade, and we talk about technology, we talk about science, organs are being replaced, and so in this kind of an informed technology century, can we not have an awareness campaign where we can tell our people, tell our families, tell our women that yes, you should make informed choices so that you can give a better life to your children. I'm not talking about the number of children, how many you have, but you should make choices that are better for the life you're bringing into this world. That was the meaning of having a population policy. It encompasses several fronts: health, it can education, it's well-being of a people, well-being of a society, and taking the society forward in the century that is we are in.
Ma'am, but the desire for a male child remains rampant in our country.
I think that is slowly, the desire, I think, is slowly getting diluted, I would say. It is there because we have this centuries old belief, and we have a male patriarchy, we have male dominance in the society. You are seeing it everywhere, and that is why India is the only country where we have specific legislation to empower women. We have beneficial legislation to empower the social strata of society, and so we have to look at it in a very different way, and that is where the informed choices come, and that is where the concept of equality which is in the constitution comes, that everyone is equal before the law, everyone is equal, and that is where the concept of women empowerment comes. So there are a number of doctrines that come together where you can give women empowerment, and then you can see now in every field women are topping, every field women are coming forward, they are giving their contribution in society, and that is where I think the psyche is changing. And so I think the desire to have male child is also getting diluted. You know, the data which is coming forward today, you find more girls going to school, and the dropouts are of course related to some other factors which is related to safety and security. I think the day we will have a safe and secure society for women, I think this question would completely go away. And the desire also for males, I think it is a notion in the mind. Women are doing excellent, and so the rise of women, empowered women in every field, whether it's lawyers, doctors, entrepreneurs, even teachers, the top academicians, I think women are doing so good. So this is going to take a backseat in a while. But because we are a very different society, a unique society, a diverse society, a society that has a history of centuries, this will take a little while to go. But we have already made the gain.
Absolutely, ma'am. Let's be hopeful of a mindset change in our
Yes,
country.
yes.
Thank you so much for talking to Rajya Sabha Television. Thank you, ma'am.
Well, moving on, the next question was asked by Dr. Banda Prakash from Ministry of Finance, and he sought details of public and private sector banks presently providing mobile banking service in the country, including number of customers using facility in the country as on date since last 3 years, and the details has been sought bank-wise.
Replying to this question, the government says that as per Master Circular on Customer Service in Banks dated 1st of July 2015 issued by the Reserve Bank of India, banks as per their board approval policy use Hindi and other regional languages in transacting business with customers. Details of banks having launched their mobile banking applications in Hindi and other regional languages is not maintained centrally. And to make mobile banking service user-friendly, Reserve Bank of India, vide Master Circular dated 2016 on mobile banking transactions in India operative guidelines for banks has instructed bank on the following. Now this is to quicken the process of MPIN generation and also widen the accessibility to their mobile banking registered customers. Banks can consider adopting various channels or methods such as ATM channels, options provided in USSD menu for mobile banking, and banks' own internet banking website and use of MPIN mailers. And transactions up to 5,000 rupees can be facilitated by banks without end-to-end encryption. The risk aspects involved in such transactions may be addressed by the banks through adequate security measures. Banks may also undertake customer education and awareness program in multiple languages through different channels of communication to popularize their process of mobile banking, registration, activation and usage. Let's move on to the next question, and this one is also to the Ministry of Finance, asked by member Parimal Nathwani. And Mr. Nathwani has asked the government whether it proposes to restructure the loans of micro, small and medium enterprises, and asked Reserve Bank of India to consider the scheme for restructuring the stressed assets of MSME borrowers subject to necessary conditions.
Well, giving reply, the ministry said that with a view to facilitate meaningful restructuring of MSEMA accounts that have become stressed, RBI with this circular dated 1st January 2019 has permitted one-time restructuring of existing loans of stressed MSME units whose account was standard as on the 1st January 2019 and continue to be standard till the date of implementation of restructuring without a downgrade in asset classifications subject to certain conditions which include a cap of 250 million rupee on the aggregate exposure of banks and non-banking financial companies to the MSMEs concerned. Now, RBI has issued instruction in January 2019 on Base 3 capital regulations, review of transitional arrangements as per it had defer the implementation of the last tranche of 0.625% of capital conservation buffer from March 31st, 2019 to March 31st, 2020. Now, RBI has also now informed that at present there is no proposal under its consideration for extending the timeline for implementation of Base 3 norms of capital adequacy. RBI Central Board in its meeting held on 19 November 2018 decided to constitute an expert committee to examine the economic capital framework. The expert committee was formed under the chairmanship of Dr. Bimal Jalan, and the report of the committee containing recommendations on the continuance of various reserves, risk provisions and risk buffers maintained by the RBI and on surplus distribution policy which targets level of realized equity to be minimized, maintained, has since been accepted by RBI's Central Board. Well, moving on, next question was asked by member Shamsher Singh Dullo from Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. And he asked about the steps taken by the government to identify new disease due to pollution and climate change.
In the response, the government says that several studies have been undertaken which show an association between particulate air pollution and illness of people with respiratory disease, as well as rise in the number of deaths from cardiovascular and respiratory diseases among older people. Air pollution is known to be one of the aggravating factors for many respiratory ailments and cardiovascular diseases in India. Indian Council of Medical Research, in collaboration with Public Health Foundation of India and also Indian Health Metrics and Evaluation, conducted a study titled The Impact of Air Pollution on Deaths, Disease Burden and Life Expectancy Across the States of India, the Global Burden of Disease Study 2017. The study found that 12.5% of total deaths attributable to air pollution, including 0.67 million deaths from ambient particulate matter pollution and 0.48 million deaths from household air pollution. ICMR also conducted a study to document acute effect of increase in air pollution on respiratory morbidity. Analysis of data suggests that increase in pollution levels was associated with increase in number of patients attending emergency rooms in hospitals. So Rajat, that's all we could pack for our viewers in this edition of Question Hour. But on the other side, we'll have Prashn Kal in Hindi with our colleagues Arvind Singh and Kriti Singh. Please stay with Rajya Sabha Television.